starts and sits every position. I have like 3 to 4 each position. So again, we're gonna answer your questions, but these are some of my favorite starts for this upcoming week. We'll start at quarterback. No, we're going Rip. Going against your team, no.
Oh, wow.
Justin Fields.
Here we
Going
go.
up against the Buffalo Bills.
Ooh.
We saw how poor their defense looked against Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry, and Drew said it. Justin Fields and Breece Hall is basically like Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson.
He said the Dollar
mini.
Tree version.
Dollar Tree,
Walmart
whatever you want to
version
say it. They look great against the Pittsburgh Steelers. And Ed Oliver is going to be missing this game. There's going to be some holes opening up for that Jets rushing attack. And even though I think the Jets passing efficiency is going to wander week to week, I think their rushing efficiency with Justin Fields is going to be pretty consistent. The next one's going to be Trevor Lawrence going up against the Cincinnati Bengals. I know in week 1, Drew, this is one of your favorite quarterbacks. I know this is someone you love to see. I have someone else who I know you love coming up next.
Okay.
But Trevor Lawrence going up against the Cincinnati Bengals has one of the highest over-unders of the week. Vegas is expecting this to be a high-scoring game. And I know the stat line from Trevor Lawrence last week, it wasn't pretty, right? I attribute that to a couple things. Number one, it's first time in a new offense. You had a great video, by the way, on your TikTok. The new stance Trevor Lawrence is figuring out. It's going to take him some time to adjust. But you also had this weather delay that really sucked the energy out of this game. And even still, there were a couple plays, especially that J.C. Horn interception, where if it's just this much further out in front, you have a potential, 50, 60-yard touchdown to Travis Hunter. And we're feeling a lot different about Trevor Lawrence. So I think going up against the Bengals defense can be a great game. Then lastly, Drake May going up against the Miami Dolphins. Miami's defense looks like it might be the worst in the league. That's how poor it looks. And I know there's, some concerns about what Drake May look like in week 1 going up against the Raiders. But I look at Miami's secondary. That might be the worst unit in football. We talk about like Houston. If we talk all the units together, Houston might have the worst when it comes to their offensive line. Miami might have consideration for the secondary because that secondary it's naked and it's bare. We see the connection that he has with Kayshon Boutte, who is putting up a really strong start to the season. The last 4 or 5 games with him and Drake May on the field together, he's averaging over 60 yards per game. He has been a real connection for that Patriots offense, and I think he's going to have a big game. Moving on to the running back position. First up, same game actually. Trevion Henderson is getting a lot of love in this in the last couple days, last 24 hours. Reports are that he's going to get more work going into week 2. And I don't blame the Patriots. If you saw Ramondre Stevenson play, or if you missed it, 7 carries, 15 yards. Henderson wasn't that much better, but he averaged 5 a carry. And he was heavily used in the passing game, which is really where he's going to get his work. He's a guy that can get you 5 to 6 catches. And again, against Miami's defense, I feel like the Patriots can be able to move the ball. They're going to be in scoring position. And this feels like a game where Henderson can have one of those big explosive plays that we saw in the preseason. James Conner as well. He was our pick on Splash Sports, but going up against Carolina Panthers just allowed over 140 yards to Travis Etienne. Feels like a great play.
Yep.
And the last one's going to be Travis Etienne. Love Trevor Lawrence, also love Etienne, right? That breakout against the Panthers defense, sure is a little questionable because it's the defense, but guess what? It's going up against the Bengals, and I don't feel great about their defense either. Moving on to receivers. So with your guy, Smitty, going up against the Kansas City Chiefs. When Dallas Goedert is out of the lineup, which he's going to be in week 2, Smitty gets the biggest bump out of all the receiving options on this team. Although I think this is going to be maybe a bit of a lower scoring game than people expect, you're still going to need A.J. Brown, who's going to get more looks, and of course Smitty. So he's someone that I think is a lot of people's, kind of flex option. Is he my wide receiver 3? He's on my bench. He's someone I'd be looking to start this week. Also, Jacoby Myers going up against the Los Angeles Chargers. Brock Bowers is maybe going to play in this game, maybe not. If anything, he feels like he's going to be a bit limited. So Jacoby goes from the number 2 option to number 1 option. Even still last week, he got 10 targets going up against the Chargers team that we know is going to be able to move the ball against this Raiders defense. Getting to play some catch up. And that's where I also have Jerry Jeudy going up against the Baltimore Ravens. Another defense that looks very suspect in week 1. Cleveland is going to be trailing this game. They're 11-point underdogs. This is going to be a team that's going to consistently have to throw the ball down the field. Jeudy didn't have a fantastic game in week 1, but the targets were there, the receptions were there, and even though Joe Flacco is going to see Dylan Sampson 7 or 8 times, eventually he's going to have to look down the field. So Jacoby, Smitty, and Jeudy be some of my favorite starts. And then lastly, at tight end, I think Tyler Warren should be looked at as a must-start going forward every single week. In week 1, he was the focal point of this passing attack. Michael Pittman was great in his own right. Even though they're going up against the Denver Broncos, whose I think defense is going to be great, I'm more worried about Michael Pittman and Josh Downs and some of these receivers, not so much a guy like Tyler Warren, who you can move up, all over the field. He's someone that could be in line. He could play in the slot. and Daniel Jones and him feel like they have a connection right after week 1. Then moving on to some of my sits for this week. Joel, I don't know if you're going to like this one. Patrick Mahomes going up against the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, sit his ass.
It is a tough defense to go up against. I know Patrick Mahomes was Superman in week 1, and maybe he will be again in week 2. But we talked about how scary this Chiefs offense is, and scary in a bad way, because the receivers are thin. Xavier Worthy's not going to play. The running game is thin. The offensive line, I do not love. So when you see Mahomes and the way you drafted him, you feel like you have to start him. But I think there's some better options out there. The two other sits, Aaron Rodgers going up against the Seattle Seahawks. The Seahawks' defense is something that we love. We talked about Seattle's defense all season long. And even though Aaron Rodgers had himself a great game against the Jets, he had 4 touchdowns, over 250 yards. I look at Seattle's defense. Number one, it's a lot better than the Jets. And when you really look at what Rodgers did against New York, again, you give him credit, but do you think it's sustainable in week 2? 8 of the 20 completions were screen passes. 2 of the touchdowns, one of them was a touch pass to, I think, Jonnu Smith. Another one was Calvin Austin just wide open in the corner of the end zone. Rodgers didn't really do anything crazy. It was just 2 plays that were more the receivers or the scheme than himself. And then last is going to be Baker Mayfield going up against the Houston Texans. It's just a matchup thing. We talk about Houston having one of those elite defenses. We saw the way they were able to limit Matthew Stafford and the Rams. They had no business being in that game because offensively they could not move the ball. But we know how great that defense is. Got 2 sits at running back. First one's going to be Isaiah Pacheco. Pacheco feels like someone that if you drafted him, he feels like a miss already, right? You can't cut him yet because he's still on the Chiefs and he has a chance to be a workhorse. But this is a running back room that he's going to be splitting time with Kareem Hunt. And when he's on the field, he doesn't look like the same Isaiah Pacheco right now. Maybe that changes with some time. Of course, he's still, I guess, coming back from the injury, but he's not someone I love. And then next is going to be Kenneth Walker going up against the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think you have 2 different things working against you. Number one, you have Charbonnet, who is more efficient in the same backfield as you. And number 2, even though the Steelers' defense did not look great against the New York Jets in their rushing attack, I don't think they're going to get embarrassed like this in back-to-back weeks. I do not think Mike Tomlin is going to have his guys giving up 5-6 yards a carry like we saw against Breece Hall and Justin Fields. I think the rushing defense at least bounces back. And then lastly, 2 sits at wide receiver. We don't have anything for tight ends because it's hard to sit a damn tight end. 2 receivers I'm sitting are 2 guys that had great games in week 1, but they're going up against 2 elite corners. Keon Coleman going up against the New York Jets. He's an outside receiver. He doesn't get moved to the slot. He is going to play 99% of his slots on the outside. So he's going to see a lot of Sauce Gardner this week. I would be worried. I would be very worried if I was starting Keon Coleman this week. And then the last one's going to be Michael Pittman going up against Pat Surtain and those Denver Broncos. Again, Pittman was fantastic in week 1. He looked like what he used to be 2 or 3 years ago when we were very high on Michael Pittman. But we know PS2. We know he's the best corner in the game right now. He's not someone I want to go up against. So these are 2 guys that had great week 1s, but I'm expecting them to pull back in week 2.
So just to recap it, your quarterback, Trevor Lawrence, is starting. Your running backs, James Conner, Travis Etienne, and...
Yeah, I'll go through it.
Okay.
So quarterback starts Fields, Trevor Lawrence, Drake May. Running back starts Conner, Etienne, Henderson. Receiver starts Jacoby Myers, Smitty, Jerry Jeudy. Tight end start Tyler Warren. Sits for quarterback, Mahomes against Philly, Rodgers against Seattle, Baker against Houston. Running backs, Kenneth Walker against Pittsburgh and Pacheco against Philly. And wide receivers, Keon Coleman against the Jets, Michael Pittman against Denver.